All right, so today we're going to be talking about multiplying exponents. So when we talk about multiplying exponents, it's something like this. So we have like 2 to the second power times 2 to the fifth power. Okay, so that's multiplying numbers with exponents. You can see the shortcut's going to be add the exponents, but let's break this down first so you can kind of see how that works. So if I break this down, 2 to the second power means I'm multiplying 2 by itself twice, like that, 2 times 2. 2 to the fifth power means I'm multiplying by 5 2s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I'm multiplying all of these together, basically I can rewrite it as the number of 2's I'm multiplying by itself. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, or 6, 7. So I could rewrite this 2 to the second power times 2 to the fifth power as 2 to the seventh power. And again, the trick to it is pretty simple. It's just adding the exponents, right? 2 to the fifth power times 2 to the second power becomes 2 to the seventh power. 4 to the third times 4 to the fifth becomes 4 to the eighth. 3 plus 5 equals 8. And that's really all you're doing when you're multiplying exponents. Okay? One thing that's going to be different today is when we write our answers, I want my answer to be written with a positive exponent and with a negative exponent. So if they're happy when all is said and done, I'm going to make them unhappy. And if they're unhappy, I'm going to make them happy. Okay? So when I look at number 1, it just has 5s, right? You can think of all these 5s having a 1 next to it, or you could just think of them as 5s. Either way, you're counting up the number of 5s, and that is the number that it's going to be as an exponent. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? If I rewrite that, it would be 5 to the sixth power. So there's one answer. The other answer is the negative exponent version of that. So if I want to make him unhappy, he's got to go downstairs, right? It's got a 1 underneath of it, so it would be, you would flip it and become 1 over 5 to the negative 6. And that would be the unhappy version, or the negative version, right? And those would be my two answers. Okay? Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, so that would be 12 to the fourth. Make him unhappy or make him negative, he's going to go downstairs, and I'd have 1 over 12 to the negative 4. And those would be my answers. Okay? Now let's look at number 3. Number 3, I have 4 to the second times 4 to the 0 times 4 to the 0. Now I know 4 to the 0 is just 1, okay, but let's look at it just as exponents for now. What's 2 plus 0 plus 0? Isn't it just going to be 2? Yeah, just be 2, right? And if I think of that, it'd be 4 squared times 1, which would just end up being 4 squared still, right? Because 1 times 4 squared is 4 squared. 1 times 4 squared is still 4 squared. Okay, so we get 4 squared, and then make him unhappy, it'd be 1 over 4 to the negative 2, and that would be my two answers. What about this one? We have 6 times 6 to the third. So this 6 doesn't have an exponent next to it, but again, if it doesn't have an exponent next to it, we think of it as just having that invisible 1 above it, just like we did up here, where we put the 1s above the 5s. Okay, 1 plus 3 is going to be 4. And again, make them unhappy, it'd be 1 over 6 to the negative 4. And that would be my answers. Okay. Let's come down here to these negative ones. So let's try this one. 14 to the negative 4 times 4 to the negative 2. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is going to be 14 to the negative 6. But to make him happy, I'm going to have to move him downstairs, and it'd be 1 over 14 to the positive 6. So those would be my two answers right there. Okay, what about this one? We got 7 times 7 to the negative 1. So there's no exponent there, so we think of it as an invisible 1. What's 1 plus negative 1? Wouldn't it be 0? Well, 7 to the 0 is just going to be 1. So there's no exponent there really. There's no positive or negative version of that because 0 is not either positive or negative. So we just write 1 there. Okay, what about 0 plus negative 1? 0 plus negative 1 would be negative 1. So 18 to the negative 1 or 1 over 18. Either of those would be correct. And you can put a positive 1 next to it if it makes you feel better. Okay, let's do some of these that are a little bit more complicated. Let's look at number 10. So we have 2, negative 4, negative 3. 2 plus negative 4 be negative 2, plus negative 3 be negative 5. So 11 to the negative 5th power. And then make them happy, it would go downstairs, 1 over 11 to the 5th power. And there's your answers. Do one more. If we look at this one, negative 2, 0, 5, 10. So negative 2, 0 would be negative 2. Negative 2, 5 would be 3, plus 10, 13. So 17 to the 13th power, or 1 over 17 to the negative 13 power. And that would be my answers. Okay, and that is how you do multiplication with exponents.